When I was in my busy clinical practice and I was seeing tons of patients a day and I was doing predominantly regenerative injection therapies, I was doing prolotherapy, PRP stem cells and such. I can tell you that there was one dividing factor between who I knew would respond beautifully and who I wasn't sure about, and that was muscle mass. That said, some of these guys with a lot of great muscle who were strength training consistently had garbage diets. They drank Mountain Dew, they ate Totino's pizza bites. I don't know how they got such good muscle mass because they ate garbage, but they had great muscle and they always healed really beautifully. That's one of the first reasons I got into strength training. My mentor had been telling me to strength train forever. And then I started seeing all these patients. And like the one deciding factor of who was going to get better and who wasn't, I had patients that were colleagues that were naturopathic doctors who were like skinny and frail and vegan and ate super clean, even if they weren't vegan, ate super clean, wouldn't even eat out of plastic. Everything came out of glass or a jar. Like all the water was filtered. Everything was perfect, but they were so frail and deconditioned that their labs were a mess and they didn't heal well. So muscle clearly has a metabolic impact beyond just all the things I've talked about. As I have mentioned, it really impacts your immune system and how that works. And your immune system isn't just to protect you from invaders. Your immune system's there to help you heal your tissues. So muscle matters. And if we have a bunch of kids who are, generally speaking, walking around with too much adipose tissue, if you were to run DEXA scans on all of them, they're all under muscled. So are the adults. We've got frailty compounded by inflammatory adipose. Adipose tissue at its core is inflammatory, especially as these kids get older. When they're young, it's not as noticeable and their labs are not that striking. It's when they start to age that I see their labs shift. And I'm like, oh, this suit of adipose tissue that you've been walking around with in excess has been okay until it's not okay. You've heard me talk about this when those fat cells decide to go rogue. So we have frailty in the muscle mass department and we have excess inflammation in the adipose department, and that's combined on a young body. And we wonder why we're having so many issues in our young people. This is just not conducive to good brain health. It's not good. It's not conducive to good brain mass. It's not conducive to brain optimization, brain function. There's a lot of potential issues with this. And we can argue about the food all day. And yes, let's argue about the food. Like, let's still change the food supply, guys. Like, I think that's a noble cause. But what if we just taught everybody to boycott the snack food industry? And we give people too little credit. We're like, oh, well, they're addicts, so we have to somehow control the food. That's a pretty socialist way of thinking. I mean, I even heard RFK say, let's ban Ozempic and take that money because it's going to bankrupt America. And then he says, imagine if we could provide healthy meals, 3 meals a day for every family in America. That's what we could do with that type of money. And I'm like, who's going to actually do that? Because people are addicts. They're going to go to Starbucks. They're going to go to McDonald's. They're going to go to these places. What if we taught them about the garbage that they're eating when they go there? What if we utilize that, right? And then what if we brought back physical fitness and we strategically implemented fitness strategies that would work for these people? Because I could go on a whole tirade about what happened when we got rid of the Presidential Physical Fitness Awards. That was disbanded in 2013 by the administration at that time because it was not inclusive and it was making kids feel left out. Rightfully so. There were, the winners and the losers, and that's how that worked. But that's how sport is. So that's a whole other conversation, actually, that has little to do with fitness and more to do with society and sociology. Because the minute we actually started giving everybody ribbons and awards, we saw what happened to society. And we saw what happened to kids' resilience. It kind of all just went downhill from there, didn't it? So I'm on the side. I like a good, healthy competition. I do.